When we talk about the crises facing America today, two issues often sit in the shadows, rarely addressed with honesty: homelessness and prostitution. At first, they might seem like separate problems, one about the lack of shelter and the other about selling sex. But in reality, they are deeply connected. Homelessness pushes people into desperation, and in that desperation, prostitution often becomes one of the only ways to survive. Both represent the hidden struggles of people living at the margins, people who are too often ignored, judged, or criminalized instead of helped. They are not just statistics. They are human lives, caught in cycles of poverty, trauma, and survival. Homelessness has reached staggering levels across the United States. From the crowded streets of Los Angeles to the neighborhoods of New York, from San Francisco to Seattle, tent encampments are now part of the urban landscape. On sidewalks, under bridges, in parks, and in alleys, thousands of people set up makeshift shelters each night. These tents are not symbols of rebellion. They are evidence of desperation. For those inside, life is a constant battle against hunger, cold, fear, and exhaustion. Every homeless person has a story. Some lost their jobs during economic downturns and couldn't keep up with rising rent. Some were pushed out of homes after family conflicts or abusive relationships. Others suffer from untreated mental illnesses that made it impossible to hold jobs or pay bills. Veterans, once respected for their service, now beg on the same streets they once marched in uniform. Families with children face eviction and find themselves living in cars or motels. Youth, particularly LGBTQ youth, are abandoned by families and left to fend for themselves. The reasons vary, but the result is the same: tents on sidewalks, people sleeping on cardboard, and dreams crushed under the weight of survival. The struggle is brutal. In the summer, people living in tents endure unbearable heat. In the winter, they face freezing nights that can be deadly. Many lack access to bathrooms, showers, or clean water. Simple tasks like cooking a meal or washing clothes become daily challenges. For women, safety is an even bigger concern. Homeless encampments are not secure, and many live under the constant fear of harassment or assault. Without health care, minor illnesses can become life-threatening. For children, growing up in these conditions leaves scars that last a lifetime. And then there is prostitution, another face of the same crisis. When people have nothing left, some turn to survival sex work. It is rarely a choice of empowerment. Instead, it is about trading the only thing left, the body, for food, for shelter, for money to survive one more day. For many women living in tents, prostitution becomes the only way to afford a motel room for the night or to buy basic supplies. Some exchange sex for a place to sleep indoors. Others use it to fund drug habits that numb the pain of their reality. The connection is undeniable. Poverty leads to homelessness. Homelessness pushes people into prostitution. Prostitution, especially when criminalized, deepens poverty and makes escaping nearly impossible. It is a cycle of survival that traps thousands of Americans. Youth are among the most vulnerable. Studies show that homeless teens are far more likely to engage in survival sex. LGBTQ youth in particular face higher risks after being rejected by their families. Many end up on the streets with no support system, and prostitution becomes their only means of survival. These young people face immense danger, exploitation by pimps, violence from clients, and constant risk of arrest. Instead of finding safety, they find themselves trapped in cycles of trauma. For many, drugs also play a role. Addiction and homelessness often go hand in hand. Some fall into addiction after losing stability, while others become homeless because of it. On the streets, drugs offer a temporary escape from despair. But addiction makes survival even harder, often fueling the need for prostitution to afford the next high. Pimps and traffickers use drugs as a tool of control, keeping people dependent and trapped in cycles of exploitation. Society's response has been harsh. Instead of addressing root causes, many cities treat homelessness and prostitution as crimes to be punished. Police clear tent encampments, throwing away belongings and scattering people from one block to another. Sex workers are arrested, fined, or jailed, making it even harder for them to find work or housing later. The cycle repeats itself: homelessness, prostitution, arrest, release, and back to the streets again. The stigma is crushing. Homeless people are often seen as lazy or dangerous. Prostitutes are dismissed as immoral or criminal. These labels strip away their humanity and prevent society from seeing them as people in need of help. Behind every tent is a story of loss and struggle. Behind every prostitute is a person fighting to survive. Judgment only deepens their isolation. But there are solutions. Housing First programs have shown that when people are given stable shelter, everything else becomes easier. Finding work, addressing addiction, and seeking health care. Affordable housing projects and rent protections can prevent homelessness before it begins. Mental health care and addiction treatment are essential, offering people the support they need to heal. For prostitution, harm reduction and decriminalization can provide safety and dignity. When sex workers have access to health care and legal protections, they are less vulnerable to exploitation and violence. Programs that offer job training and counseling can provide real pathways out. Most importantly, society must shift its perspective. Homelessness and prostitution are not moral failures. They are survival responses to systems that fail to protect the vulnerable. Compassion, not criminalization, is the answer. Instead of turning away, we must recognize these people as part of our communities. They are neighbors, fellow citizens, and human beings who deserve dignity and hope. America is a nation of wealth, power, and innovation. But its strength will not be measured by skyscrapers or stock markets. It will be measured by how it treats the people at the very bottom: the homeless, the exploited, the forgotten. Until tents disappear from sidewalks and survival sex is no longer a necessity, the promise of opportunity will remain incomplete. The time has come to see, to care, and to act.